we also have not only a problem with, you know, criminals that are native to Canada, that have grown up here, etc., but we have criminals that come to Canada, that seek Canada from abroad, that see Canada as a,
Sure.
as a safe haven for committing their crimes and what have you. And I know that, for example, in Calgary, Jackie Tran is somebody who you've been tracking and keeping folks focused on and whatnot. Maybe you could talk to us about some of the problems you see in terms of deportation and how these foreign criminals should be dealt with.
You know, oddly enough, one of the reasons why I was spurred into politics was some of the events that had taken place in my previous occupation as a police officer here in this city. Picking up individuals that had barely been in the country a few weeks and yet were involved, heavily involved in organized criminal activity, and no one being able to remove them. It concerned me enough to ask the question, oh, why is there this problem? You know, here we have, for instance, an individual is a Romanian gypsy. He had applied for refugee status into this country, and yet he had been on a trek countrywide, stealing, robbing, grabbing everything he could in a very organized fashion and shipping it back to their headquarters here in Canada for distribution outside. Mm-hmm. And why would an individual like that be allowed to stay in our country? All they had was an agenda not to build our nation up, but to tear it down.
Right.
And that was a concern to me. I could never get a definitive answer why people like that are in the country.
Yeah.
You know, I have, since being in Parliament now, a different view on why they're here, but that does not answer my question. Then why can't we get rid of them?
Right.
If they are all they are here for is to violate our law and not contribute to strengthening our nation. But better still, if we're going to take somebody else's troublemakers, or if people that come here have another agenda, then they should be removed immediately and not let back in. But when you seek refugee status in this nation, it's like you will be supported broadly. You won't have to open your mouth up once. There will be people speaking for you, even to the point of arguing your case and allowing you to take advantage of every right that a citizen has in this country, and yet you are nothing but a common thug or criminal.
Yeah.
And that is not acceptable. You know, so why can't this law change? And I've looked at that specifically when I was in Ottawa.
Yeah.
For those 15 years.
One thing I think is an interesting debate, and that is that, you know, if you have a foreign criminal who's in Canada, you know, causing problems, if we deport him, you might give him the chance to come back. But if you had, and this is the other side of the equation, if he had a really good, solid detention center, that was a place that they'd never ever want to come back to, that was worse than where they came from, right? That might be a better term. But the problem is, as well, though, we don't have a correctional system that gives them that.
No, I don't know if that's necessarily realistic, but I know one thing, that should a man come here, claim refugee status, but end up violating all the law of the land, knowing that they can get away with it, but should he be found guilty, let him serve his sentence or part of it and kick him out. You have the particulars that you need, his fingerprints, his pictures, his DNA, whatever is required, that should he ever come into the country again, there will be immediate action taken without even him committing any more crime apart from being here.
Right.
It can be done, and it can be done aggressively, but I don't see that happening in our nation. There doesn't seem to be a desire to overturn this law that we have on our books that welcomes everybody here, and it doesn't matter what you do, you're still welcome. Mm-hmm. You know, you're treated better than the citizens of the nation. What is wrong with this picture?